We're at it again. Hopefully I do a little bit better job this time of documenting this. So, I gotta ask, what is a bullfrog carb? Bullfrog looks exactly like that. It's McCulloch's design, their version of a carburetor. Got the big old mouth, got this big old flat body, bullfrog. These have a very special tuning procedure to them. Not very fun or anything like that to do. They're a pain in the butt. So what do? I put an SDC. Did it to a 210G. Now this is a 210 direct drive. And it's an automatic one. I think it has a different top on it because it automatically oils. So what we're going to need for this, the appropriate size tap, which I can't remember off the top of my head what size it is. It's okay, it's a 10-24 NC, number 25 tap, and its appropriate drill bit for it, number 25 drill bit. So everything you're going to need for this, the SDC carb. I got all this for $10 off of a buddy on Facebook. All the stuff, I'm going to have to make a couple different gaskets for it, but everything is there, all the hardware and stuff. You will need a different choke than the primer one, because you do need that little hook at the end here to hook into the linkage. So pretty much do that. Also, to get that out, you're going to have to tap this roll pin out however you feel like doing, and then just new ones, old one slides out, new one in, the end. But we'll get to that here. So this saw I've never actually got to make a good cut with because this carburetor just sucks. So it's coming out, and of course that's pretty simple, straightforward process to do. And we'll go from there. Impact's over there. Alright, old one out, and its linkages. Takes moments to do if you got, you know, faster tools. Alright, key here. Lining this up properly. It's the bottom, this is the top. We're lining up the impulse hole right here to this one right here first, but also we're lining up the opening there too. When those are where they should be, pretty much a good eyeball guesstimation, but when you get those lined up just right, that's when you're going to mark your holes, or whether you want to use a marker or you can use a center tap, and you tap it to where you're going to drill so the drill doesn't walk on you. You get like one chance at this. So, gotta be careful. Make sure the piston is like in between the middle there to avoid crap getting in there, but stuff a bunch of paper towel or whatever into there to make sure. Also, another thing I totally forgot I'm going to have to go to the hardware store for the proper size bolts for these right here for hold downs, and you got to put those in before you put the carburetor on. So I might have some kicking around, but I got to go look in the parts book and see what size and length these are, make a run. And I use newer Allen head bolts. They clearance out pretty good. So, but we'll get to that. We'll just get into the most difficult part of this whole swap here. As you can see, very simple process. Got it lined up, just put this right through the hole where the spacer was on it, just centered up the best I could, held it down, and then just tapped on it. Spacer actually didn't move on me, and so I went for the next one, got it, and that's where we're going to start our drilling. Like I say, get this hole covered up, filled in the best you can, and try not, and make sure that piston, nothing can get through, because there's a good chance you can, like I did with the other one, you can just turn it upside down, spray it, and rinse it out real good, and no metal get in there. I mean, if you want, you could take off the whole top and everything and go the whole 9 yards. That's fine. I'm showing the how-to basics on this. Got them drilled out, no biggie. Now, how far do you drill? I've got it pre-marked on the drill bit already, but by the time I go to that mark, it goes right through, and then I think it hits a bluish green spacer at the bottom, so I know I've gotten to it. So, got all the stuff cleaned out, nothing down inside the cylinder, check that, and replace the paper towel. So, now we're down to the tapping portion. This fuel line. Don't want to take it out, though. So anyways, I use gear oil for 80W90 for the tapping and never had a problem. I've actually used WD-40 before, so pretty much it's just going to be that, and because I don't own a complete tap set, crescent wrench. Just be very careful. Getting it started is the hardest part, but it is nice and straight. Let's buy an eyeball. And just take your time, back and forth. Go so far, back and forth. Take her out after you get so far to clean out the chutes or whatever they're called. I'm not scientific on it. And if this is your first time tapping, drilling and tapping, I would not make this my first time. I would practice on something like aluminum or whatever, because this is, I think, a magnesium body, so it's about the same. And just be very careful with your process. If I had the proper tools, it might be easier, but it kind of gets in the way sometimes up here and trying to... I've seen crescent wrenches many times. Just be very careful and take your time. So we'll bring you back when we get this one done, or maybe the second one. And this is why you take your time. It's not broken. If I get it to zoom here, so we'll just set it down on the body. The chutes get clogged up in there. Go so far, take her out, and get that cleaned off, and then go back in. And I mean, a few times. Take your time. This is not something you rush. Starting on the second one, and I remember the word, the flutes. Those are the spaces in between it. I was about to ask somebody if they want to leave it in the comments for me, but the flutes, those are the things you want to keep clear when tapping. They gather all the stuff, and you want to get them cleaned out often. And there we go. Except what I notice, the depths are slightly different, bottomed out, but I think we're going to be alright. I guess we could toss the carb on real quick and tighten it down and check that way. So we'll do that now. Without bolting it on, I can see I'm going to be just fine. I mean, that's as much as holds down the carburetor anyway. So, but like I say, before we can put that on, we got to get 2 screws here. And I went inside, looked them up on the manual, and they are the 10-24 thread pitch, and they are 1 3/8 inch long. But I think I can't get them in 3/8, so I'll grab a 1/2 inch and a 1/4 inch with an inch on there too. So we'll go to the hardware store and we'll go grab those and Allen head bolts and go from there. And we're back from Ace Hardware, and I dumped it out early. So that's 1 1/2, and it's going to be too long anyways, but I always grab them. 1 inch and 1 1/4. So we'll try out the 1 1/4 here. There was kind of tight. Let's get the Allen wrenches out. Whatever drawer they're in here. Just got a new toolbox set up not too long ago and had to redo it all, so finding the tools I'm still up in the air with. Tool. So I think that's the right one. Yeah. I think that's gonna work out just fine right there as she sits. Yep. 1 1/4 will do the trick perfectly. So make sure your spacer in there doesn't slide around and move around anyways. I mean, like I said, I know I drilled and tapped a bit far and hit the spacer, but that isn't going to affect anything. So that's the... Yep, that's the 1 1/4 one there. Okay, looking at the 1 1/2. So we'll get that in there, and we can get that carb bolted on. Well, I got to make a new gasket to fit down here, and then I use gasket sealer and let it cure for 24 hours. So next time you kind of see this, you know, before it runs, it'll be the next day. Everything, because I've had it where it leaks just right here, and even on the SDCs, you know, setups. I mean, there's just so little space there to be able to actually seal. So put gasket sealer around her and just make sure, because the last one I did, it was hard to tune, and found out when I put gas down it manually, it was leaking out. So we'll get this bolted down here and everything, get a new gasket made if I can find the gasket material. It's around here somewhere. Just had it the other day, so we'll get that done and go from there. Alright, we've got one ugly gasket cut out, but I bet it works. And this is the sealant I'm talking about, gasket sealant. Works actually pretty good. So we'll get this all tossed together real quick. Like I said, don't forget to put that impulse hole in there. Just get a tasket, put a hole in this gasket. Put that on there. We'll get all this slapped over to here, get that bolted down, and get them linkages on. And, oh yeah, we got to change this out still too. So we'll get that out too at this point. But we'll get that bowl down, get stuff started curing. Put a thin layer down here all around. That's good. Make sure it's oil free, which I've already done. Sprayed it down with carb cleaner. Put a little bit of sealant on both sides of this. Toss it all on and bolt her down. We should be good. Alright, we got that changed out, and it was that roll pin was in there pretty bad, but everything's still functional. Everything's still good. We've got, it's hard to see, but we've got full throttle, returns back, and we've got a fully functioning choke. So we are set here. I've got everything bolted down, sealing all around. It's one of those you wait 24 hours kind of bit for that sealer and everything to work. So I never actually rebuilt this carburetor or anything, but if I got to, I can undo these screws and check some stuff. But this is really just a walkthrough on how to and everything, but I don't think this carb's really going to need much of love. So, alright, like I say, we'll try to get this thing running tomorrow or anything. Hopefully, like I say, the carb doesn't need too much. If it does, then we'll tear into it. It's no biggie. So hopefully we'll be having this running next time you see it. Alright, it's been a couple days on the SDC swap. I don't know where I left off. Letting that sealant cure around the bottom, so a little bit of prime down inside of her. It's got fuel in the tank. Let's see what she's going to do here. I never did go through the carburetor, so. It's a choke. It's got good compression, I'm going to say that. Stubborn little thing today. Come back when we get her started. As we saw on the previous thing there, high running, shut you guys off for a moment, then I adjusted it down and everything, so. know why I shut you guys off on that one, but yeah, we gotta get that chain sharpened. It's bad, and get the carb tuned when cutting. But other than that, another great successful SDC swap. You got any questions, let me know in the comments. I gotta get a couple bolts for this handle still, but other than that, another good running saw here. No more bullfrogs.